While bittersweet for fans of the particular driver, a swan song season can be one of, if not the most important season of a driver's career. The last chance that driver has to go to victory lane, win a championship, win certain races they haven't won before, and also their last chance to solidify their legacy. And in 2023, that priority lies to Kevin Harvick. Harvick has had a great career that spanned from 2001 all the way to today. And in that time, he has went from being a sort of mid-pack driver with potential to one of the greatest drivers NASCAR has ever seen. And with him having his final season in 2023, many, including myself, are asking only a couple races in after he's been competitive, will Kevin Harvick possibly have the greatest final NASCAR season ever? It is a genuine question to ask, because even though Harvick is in his late 40s now, he still is racing at a pretty elite level. Not to the level of winning 9 or 10 races like a couple years ago, but still at a level that could be considered championship worthy. So today we're going to look into it. Can he have the best final season a driver has ever had this year? Well, to start out, we have to lay out who now has the best final season in their career. And in my opinion, that goes to Jeff Gordon in 2015. Unlike many drivers like Dale Jr., Tony Stewart, or Jimmy Johnson, Jeff Gordon remained competitive into the final season of his career. While not having the legendary numbers of the 90s or the great consistent numbers of the 2000s, or even the numbers of the year before in 2014, Gordon had a very consistent championship caliber season in 2015. In his 36 starts, he had a win, 5 top 5s, 21 top 10s, led 265 laps, only 1 DNF with a 13th place average finish, and ended up making the Final Four and finishing 3rd, all at the age of 43. Now, Kevin Harvick this season will be 47, and he's coming off a season last year that had 2 wins, 9 top 5s, 17 top 10s, 217 laps led, but 7 DNFs and a 14th place average, but finished 5th in the standings at 46. So, can he do this? Well, to start out, I want to give reasons why he can, and the first one is the fact that Harvick has started the season relatively fast. In his 6 starts, he has 2 top 5s and 3 top 10s. He's led 43 laps, has a 12th place average finish, and is currently sitting 6th in the point standings. If this were to be extrapolated 6 times into a full season, that'd mean he'd get 12 top 5s and 18 top 10s. Not as many top 10s as Gordon, but more top 5s. At the moment, he's only 3 top 5s away from passing the driver of the 24 in 2015, and while he has a long way to go, at least half a season's worth of top 10s to go, it's not like this is impossible for him to achieve. He's led a good amount of laps already at 43, as not many people have led more than 100 laps this season. So we don't know for sure how good he'll do, but the fast start is a good help. And on top of that, he has plenty of tracks that he's been good at and is shown to be good at recently. 4 that I can really think of that are all upcoming this season are Phoenix in the finale, which he probably should have won this past spring, Texas in the playoffs, he's been fast at Texas, Richmond, where he finished 1st and 2nd in 2022, and there's probably no reason to think he couldn't do the same, and then Michigan, where he seems to win almost every time they go there now. So he has a good alignment on the schedule to show that, yeah, he may be able to actually get a couple wins. Now, one other really big part of this is that he seemed to have picked up the pace at the end of 2022, and it's continued in 2023. Remember to about the first 20 or so races of last season, many people thought that Kevin Harvick was over the hill, that he was over. He was not a championship level driver. And then he came out and won 2 consecutive races. While it didn't work in the playoffs, I don't think the playoffs necessarily show who the best all year was, merely who the best at a certain time of the season are. Over the course of the 2022 season, Harvick got faster and faster. And if that continues into this season and they peak at the right time, Harvick could very well be a championship level driver, whatever the system may be, in the last 10 to 12 races. And if they follow the same trajectory they did in 2022, then you're looking at a driver who may be the most dangerous in the NASCAR Cup Series. And then when it comes to beating Gordon and having the best season, even just in that regard of beating him, Gordon's 2015 had plenty of top 10s with 21, and that's going to be very difficult for any driver to accomplish. Last year, barely any drivers got to that mark or even around it, but that was very limited in top 5s. 5 top 5s in a season is not that many. People forget that Gordon really ran about 6th to 14th for the majority of his final season, stayed out of trouble, and that's how he managed to get better finishes, just basically out of being an experienced driver. Harvick's going to need to have to do that, plus get more top 5s. And it's going to be difficult, as we'll talk about in a bit. But also when it comes to Gordon only had 1 win in his final season, and that was more thanks to Matt Kenseth getting revenge on Joey Logano than Gordon being the fastest out there. So Harvick, just by getting a definitive win that doesn't involve some kind of act of God helping him out, would be able to probably match that mark pretty easily. While Harvick has shown a lot of ability to be able to have the greatest final season ever, I think there's also a good amount of reasons why he couldn't. And the first one is the team he's driving for, Stewart-Haas Racing. Nothing against SHR, but their teams, other than Harvick, have been 24th or worse this season. Briscoe is 24th in the standings, Almirola 28th, and Ryan Preece 29th. Say what you want about their bad luck, that does not make up the difference between the mid to lower 20s and being the top 10, borderline top 5 in points. Other than Harvick, they've all been pretty mediocre, and I'm surprised Harvick hasn't ruptured a disc in his back because of having to carry this team on it for so long in the last couple years. While he's continued to do so, and he probably can for the final 30 races of the season, it is still a very tall task to ask such an older driver to do something like this. And if he's able to somehow match Gordon even or be around him, I think simply because he's not at the best team in NASCAR may show that he would have the best season. But this team has shown the ability in the last couple years to implode. Not the Ford team, just SHR in general. And this is in no thanks to the part that Ford has played, at least in the start of this season. Outside of the super speedways, Ford has seemed to struggle this year compared to Chevrolet and Toyota. And Harvick was the lone bright spot at Phoenix that Ford could rely on to go for the win and be competitive not just on a restart but for long runs. But how long can that continue for? Can you really rely on the Ford team to just hit the setup every single week the rest of the season while the other Fords are sort of running in the middle of the top 10 to the end of the top 10? Can you rely on a 47-year-old driver to do that week in and week out and carry not only a team, but now, like I said here, a manufacturer to victory lane on a consistent basis outside of a super speedway? I don't know about you, but I think that's a very tall task to ask as well. So you have the team, that aspect there is a bit against him, and then you have the manufacturer aspect a bit against him. So those are very tall odds at that. And then you add in the biggest factor, and while it hasn't been shown too much so far this year, it could very easily rear its ugly head, and that is Father Time. The age of Kevin Harvick, being in his mid to late 40s, wouldn't have been much of an issue, say, 20, 30 years ago, when this was the norm for drivers to go this long. But what we've seen recently is that drivers tend to retire now in their mid to early 40s. And while Harvick has been racing into his later 40s, he's not the norm. He's the outlier. And if age catches up on this insanely grueling NASCAR season, it shouldn't be a surprise. Heck, it caught up with Gordon the entirety of 2015, and he somehow fought against it. Harvick's going to have to do that if he even wants to think about matching Gordon and his 2015 season. And you know what? Father Time always wins, so don't be surprised if that happens. So with that, I want to pass it all on to you with the positives and the negatives. Do you think Kevin Harvick's swan song season will be the greatest in NASCAR history? Let me know down in the comments below. While you're at it, leave a like on this video and share this video and subscribe to my channel for more great NASCAR content. Thank you so much to all of my channel members for continued support. More stuff to come in the coming weeks for you. And until next time, have a good one.